Hello and welcome to another lesson of Arabi بالبيت. Today we're going to learn about the noun adjective phrase. This construct will help you build more complex sentences in Arabic. Let's get started. Up until now, we've been working with some pretty basic sentences like هذا كتاب. This is a book. We also have هذا الكتاب جديد. This book is new. Notice here that jadidun is not an adjective, but rather the predicate for this nominal sentence. And lastly, we have kitabul mudarrisi jamilun. The teacher's book is pretty. Here we have an idafe, kitabul mudarrisi, and jamilun, again, like the last example, is not an adjective, but rather the predicate for this nominal sentence. Unlike English, where adjectives are static, you have a pretty house, pretty car, pretty people. In Arabic, adjectives change based on the nouns that they modify. There are 4 simple rules that explain the relationship between nouns and adjectives, and you just have to memorize them. The first one is that they must agree in gender, and that means that a male adjective must modify a male noun, and a female adjective must modify a female noun. Next, they must agree in number. Since Arabic has singular, dual, and plural nouns, adjectives that describe or modify these nouns have to agree in number. Third, they must agree in definiteness. In Arabic, adjectives change depending on whether you're describing a car or the car. And lastly, adjectives have to agree in case. For example, an adjective describing kitabi in the genitive case will be genitive, and an adjective describing or modifying kitabon in the nominative case will be nominative. Let's go over some examples though, because this will help solidify the concepts. Let's start with هذا كتاب قديم, or this is an old book. Here, the adjective is قديم and the noun is كتاب. If we go through our list, they're both male, singular, indefinite, and nominative, so this sentence checks out. Another example, هذا الكتاب الجديد عن الفلك. So in this sentence, it is in English it would be, this new book is about astronomy. And so the noun here is kitabu, al-kitabu, and the adjective is al-jadidu. So if we go through our list, they're both male, they're both singular, they're both definite, and lastly, they're both in the nominative case, al-kitabu, al-jadidu. So this sentence checks out. Now we're getting into a little bit of a tricky territory. So let's see if we can do this one together. سيارة الموظف الجديدة تحت الثلج. So in this sentence, we would translate it as the employee's new car is under the snow. We have an idafe, سيارة الموظف, but the adjective al-jadida, we have to figure out which one of these terms in the idafe modifies. Well, we go to our list. We know that it's going to modify sayyara because they're both female, they're both singular, they're both definite, and lastly, they're both in the nominative case, sayyaratu al-jadidatu. So what happens if we flip this example around and we write sayyaratu al-muwaddafi, again, an idafe, al-jadidi تحت الثلج. In this case, the new employee's car is under the snow. Did you notice the difference? Here we have the same adjective, al-jadidi, but this time it is modifying al-muwaddafi. And to prove that, we go through our list. here they're both male, they're both singular, they're both definite, and lastly, they're both in the genitive case. So when multiple terms in an idafe are modified, the first term is modified last and the last term is modified first. So let's go over this example, because in the last one, we only had one adjective modifying one term in the idafe. Here we have رئيس الشركة الأمريكية الجديد. And in this example, we have the first term of the idafe is being modified last, and then the second term of the idafe is being modified first. The new president of the American company. Let's go over another example. طالب الجامعة الأمريكية الجديد. Here we have the idafe. The first term of the idafe, طالب, is being modified last. الجديد, we know that because they're both in the nominative case. And the second term of the idafe is being modified first. So الجامعة الأمريكية, they're both in the genitive case. So we know to translate this clause as the new student of the American university, because student is new and university is American. Try to do this one on your own by hitting pause. So we have طالبة الجامعة, we have this إضافة, الأمريكية الجديدة. So here the first term of the إضافة, which I'll circle in blue, is being modified last. And we know that because they're both in the nominative case. And then the second term of the idafe, which I'll do in green, is being modified first because they're both in the genitive case. So طالبة الجامعة, so the student is new and the university is American. The new student of the American university. Lastly, let's try to do this one, but it's a little different than the ones we've done before. We have طالبة الجامعة الأمريكية الجديدة. Here we have an idafe, طالبة الجامعة, but we have two adjectives that are both in the genitive case. So we know that it cannot be modifying طالبة. That means that both of these adjectives are modifying الجامعة, the university. So this is a new American university, which means we should translate this clause as the student of the new American university. It'll help if you see all the clauses that we just went over in one page. So if you want to take a screenshot or hit pause to review how each clause transformed by the adjectives and nouns that we went over. And this concludes the lesson on the noun adjective phrase. شكرا وإلى اللقاء.